Hello, dear Dhamma friends. I warmly welcome every one of you for the Empty Cloud Monastery Dhamma page. And I am Bhante Pesala from Sri Lanka. So, here in Sri Lanka, it is early in the morning at 5 o'clock. Now, the time is. And I hope that I think in America it is in the late evening, like in the evening time, and also there are so many friends joining with us from throughout the globe. So I'm wishing for everyone good morning and good day and good evening and good moment for everyone with the infinite blessings of the noble triple gems. And today also we are going to discuss yet another beautiful and meaningful sutta. Uh, After this sutta, you can understand the value of this sutta. It gives you so many insight about the core of our Dhamma or the core of the Buddhism or the Buddha's teaching. So now friends have gathered and all together, let's first of all let's pay our homage to the Samma Sambuddha and then we begin to the sutta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May my homage to the Supreme Samma Sambuddha, the Blessed One, the Awakened One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namasami. Also, my homage to the Dhamma, the supreme teaching, as well as the supreme community of Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, dear Dhamma friends, today we are going to discuss the sutta which is in the Samyutta Nikaya. You can read and you can refer with this sermon. When I'm explaining the sutta, you can refer the sutta. So for your reference, I have commented on this. I commented on the comment section in the sutta's reference. That is sutta number 12. Uh, the sutta is from Samyutta Nikaya, chapter number 12 and sutta number 17. The name of the sutta is Susīma Sutta. So this Susīma is earlier. He was a paribrajaka. Paribrajaka means he was a wanderer. He also kind of ascetic, kind of mendicant. He also finding at that time he was also finding a way of enlightenment. So in Buddha's time, there were six uh, groups of mendicants. So they all finding liberation or the enlightenment. So that is their mindset. Actually, when we think about them, their mindset is so much beautiful, so much it is sometimes it's funny, like if we read the the background of their teachings and background of their families, background of their tribes, it is very funny. So I will give you one story about to understand their mindset. So it is we can compatible with the present day people's mindset to that day people mindset. Why I'm saying that, in present day, so many people, they know that if we attach to things, it brings us the suffering. So they practicing letting go. They practice letting go of everything. So it's a famous thing in the world. Most of the people also think that when they talk about Buddhism, they think practicing of letting go. But that is not the complete the truth. Why I'm saying that, the kind of ascetics that I am talking, the six types of ascetics who are in the Buddha's time. One ascetic whose name was Purna Kassapa. Purna Kassapa means Purna mean complete. Kassapa mean his name. He is received from his clan and the tribe. So this person got this name because uh, when he born to his clan, he was the 100th one, 100th child. So 100 is it's a three digit number, so it's a complete number, and people believe that this number is so much of lucky, or else it might be so much unfortunate. It can bring us the destiny. So the people in the clan, were hesitate to deal with this particular child. So no one is caring about this child. So this child eventually brought up to as a younger man. So once he developed, once he enhanced, once he brought up as a child, he was thinking that no one is caring me, no one is taking care of me, no one is looking at me, no one is asking from me. So he was thought he was thinking to just ran away from the clan, and he began to run away, and he had to pass away the jungle, so forest, huge forest. So unfortunately, when he was at the middle of the forest, there was a group of bandits, group of uh, thieves just jump into him and stolen everything out of him, even the very clothing that he was wearing at that time. So without anything, without even the clothing, he was just passing through the jungle, and eventually he reached to a village. So in that village, there were some people, and this particular person, he's so much of buffoon, like, I mean, he's so much of stupid fool. He was unable to even close their his the private places by using the twigs, branches, and kind of thing from the jungle. He was unable, I mean, he was incapable enough to doing even that small thing. So once eventually, so this person entered to a village, and the people who are in the village noticed this person, and they thought, this man, this person, he's at least, he doesn't have any kind of clothing, so he had let go of everything, so he's the true ascetic. So people began to offer things to him. So just imagine the mindset of the people, because uh, he is not wearing even clothes, because he is practicing the letting go of everything. So people began to offer this thing, and offer so many requisites to him, and he was thinking that since people are worshiping me, people are offering things to me, so that is because I am an enlightened being, that's why these people are offering me. So he began to teach whatever he think, he began to preach them, and people considered he is enlightenment, so people accepted all the things that he uttered. So that's how the mindset of the people. So I am telling this story because of to understand the background of the story. So once the Buddha appeared to this world, and he has preached very rational and very practical teaching. In there nothing believed. So when we consider about the teachings, and we daily as practitioners, we do chanting about the Dhamma mean, we do chanting about the qualities of the Dhamma, and there we say Swakhatai. This Dhamma is well proclaimed in the beginning, in the middle, as well as in the end. And in the commentaries, it explains the beginning as the sila or the morality, the middle as the samadhi, and the end as the prajna. So sila, samadhi, prajna, it Dhamma itself is having the whole teachings of four noble truths, noble eightfold path, and you can have the connection, you can have the link between the beginning, middle, as well as the end. So that is called swakha. And also Sandiptika. The results can be seen in this very life, in this very moment. At the time you practice, that time itself, you can have the results of this Dhamma. That is so it is called Sandiptika. You can experience the result. And Akalika, mean there are two definitions for the term Akalika. One is called it is timeless teaching. That means the Buddha's teaching is applicable for even the distant past. These theories are true. Even right now, these theories are true. And if you take the distant future, in the distant future also these teachings are true. So that is called as Akalika. And another commentaries it says Akalika means within no time you get the results. That means if you practice true teaching, true according to your according to the Dhamma correctly, if you practice, immediately you will get the benefits out of the practice. So that is in that way also commentators commentaries have explained about this term Akalika. And it is ehipassika, means we can invite to others, just come and see, come and experience this Dhamma. And it is very pragmatic and practical. So without fear, we can, without any hesitation, we can invite to anyone. So hence it is called as ehipassika. Then opanayika. Opanayika mean Opanayika term derived from Pali as upanika, mean upa mean to one, towards oneself. I mean this Dhamma has to you know compatible. The Dhamma has to bring up towards us, and the results can be experienced not from the outer world. That means the Buddha is not telling the truth about the universe, the end of the universe, the beginning of the universe. No, the Buddha is talking about yourself. How you experience suffering, how you experience unsatisfactoriness. So it has to be matched with yourself. Then only you can experience the result. That is called known as opanayika. That's why its name has given that. And finally, pacchattam veditabbo vinyohiti. So pacchattam mean by ourselves, veditabbo should know, should understand vinyohi. Everyone cannot understand this Dhamma. Vinyohi mean only the wise one, the one who who's having insight and wisdom. They only can understand, can penetrate the meaning of this Dhamma. So that's why these differences are there. If you take 100 people, 100 disciples, 100 followers, they explain, they proclaim, they discuss the same Dhamma topic in 100 ways. So that variation is there. That is because as per their level of wisdom, level of insight. So these six characteristics available in this Dhamma. So when people begin to hear Dhamma, actually the wise one, it's a get the glimpse of something, some satisfaction when they follow this Dhamma. So the once the Buddha's teaching here in that way, people begin to understand something, and some have realized immediately the Nibbana by becoming Sotapanna or something like that. So then people immediately offer so many conviction, faith, and reverence, honor, everything to the Buddha as well as the Sangha. So at that time, the people from the other sects, other religions, like the ascetic, I told you, the Purna Kassapa, everything, everyone, this particular Susima also, this type, one kind of ascetic and the wanderer, they had lost their their honor, their respect, their offerings. They lost. So this Susima plot a plan to regain that they are, the lost honor, veneration, everything they plan to regain back. So what they have, they plot a plan. So they ask this Susima, wanderer, Venerable Susima, you go to the Buddha's disciples, and you become a you should become a monk, and you should learn all the Dhamma from the Buddha. And after that you have to leave the community of Sangha, and you have to come to us, and you have to teach us. what the Buddha's teaching. So then, when we learn about Buddha's teaching and we tell, we proclaim, we teach that teaching to the disciples, to the ladies, to the people, and thereby we will gain the win and we will win the hearts and minds of the people. By thinking in that way, they sent these Susima to the Sangha. So eventually he came up towards the Venerable Ananda Thera, the chief, uh, patronizer, chief helper of the Buddha. So he came to him and he was requesting, Venerable Ananda, I was from this clan, I was mm, uh, ascetic Susima, I wanted to become a monk. So then, Venerable Ananda immediately, once he asked that question, he understood there is something peculiar, something abnormal with him. So I need to produce him before the Buddha. So both of them, Bhante Ananda Thera and this particular uh, ascetic with them, and they reached to the Buddha. And Venerable Ananda informed the matter to the Buddha. Venerable sir, this is ascetic Susima. He is requesting ordination in this community of Sangha. So then at that time Buddha knew what is going to happen, and Buddha just allowed him to get the ordination. As not only the ordination, the higher ordination also he got the at the same time. But if you take the Vinaya, if a particular ascetico disciple from any sects, he has to enter to this community of Sangha, and he has to complete some probation period as a samanera. Then only he'll get the chance of getting the ordination, high ordination. But in this case, Buddha directly has given the permission for the ordination as well as the higher ordination. So this particular uh, Susima ascetic, he eventually become the monk. He become as a monk, Susima Bhikkhu. So after he becoming a monk, he just staying with the community of Sangha, and he had noticed that the monks who have attained the liberation, enlightenment, or the arahantship, they eventually reach to the Buddha, and they are proclaiming, they are just uh, declaring their enlightenment towards the Buddha. It is the noble duty of the disciples that you know if he gain the enlightenment, it has to be informed to our teacher. So in the Buddha's time, it was the Buddha. So this person noticed that this incident, and they what he had done is that he just followed through those enlightened monks and just reached them, and um, after having the courtesies, he sat down aside and he was asking from them, now Bhante, I've noticed that you have declared enlightenment before the Buddha, and is it true, Bhante? Then the enlightened beings replied, yes, it is true. Then this Susima is asking from them, Bhante, then could you uh, could you perform miracles? Like there are five types of miracles. In the last sermon also I explained about them. So one is called Iddivida, mean he can perform miraculous things like he can fly in the sky, he can immerse in the earth, he can walk on the surface of the water, and without any impact he can walk through the buildings, walls, mountains. He can just walk through. That is called those kind of power, psychic power, known as Iddhividajana. So that is one type of. Then this Susima asking from the enlightened beings, could you perform these kind of miracles? Then the enlightened beings replied, no, we cannot do that. And secondly, he's asking, do you have divine ear? That means when the one who having these kind of supernormal powers, they can hear things which is near and far away things, like in the world, he could see the sound, he could hear the sounds of sounds in the Deva realm as well as the Brahma realms. So they can hear because of the divine ear faculty. So, Bhante, have you gained this knowledge? Then again they reply, no, we cannot, we don't have that knowledge. And thirdly, could you gain the mind reading capability, the reading the minds of the people? At that time also, the enlightened beings replied to the Susima, no, we cannot do that even. And fourthly, could you recollect the past lives? Could you see the past lives? That time also they replied, no, we cannot. And do you have could you do you get the divine eye, uh, the knowledge or the ability to see things which is far away, the pictures in the sights in the Brahma world, Deva world, they could see. The one who have gained this knowledge, they can see. So do you gain this knowledge, divine eye? So the enlightened beings replied, no, we cannot do that. And after that, now he's getting a bit confused, because though they have declared enlightenment, they cannot do anything. So it is amazing. So like us, like in the present day, the disciples also think in that way. All the enlightened one, they are performing miracles. There's a preconception is going on with the people. So this this similar to this Susima. So then he perplexed, and he confused, and again he asked from Bante, then you don't have any kind of psychic power, then how could you declare your enlightenment? How could you say that you have become enlightened? So then Bante, I am confused, I cannot understand this. Then the enlightened being replied to him that whether you have understood or not, uh, just wait, my battery is getting low. Glitch were going on. Now it is settled. Uh, and we were talking about the confusion which went through with this Susima. So these enlightened beings, they were just replying that they said that we have nothing of these psychic powers, but still we are enlightened. So then this person, with that confusion, he just reached to the Buddha, and he informed all the incident with the Buddha. And there, our great teacher Samma Sambuddha has given him very valuable and important Dhamma advice to him. That is that uh, when the Susima informed this all the things to the Buddha, Buddha said to him, "Pubbe ko Susima Dhammathiti jnanam pacha nibbane jnanam." That is very important term. It is said, Buddha said to him, uh, don't focus on the psychic powers. Pubbe, initially, you must get the Dhamma Titinyana. Dhamma Titinyana means you have to establish your knowledge on the Dhamma first. And Pacha means after that, you can experience, you can see, you can experience your wisdom, the Nibbana, enlightenment. So in that way, the Buddha advised. Then again he gets so much confused, even more confused. And with that confusion again he was asking from the Buddha, Bhante, I don't understand anything. Then the Buddha said, uh, Susima, whether you have understood or not, it is the truth. Pubbe, initially it is the Dhamma or the establishment of the Dhamma, the knowledge of the establishing of the Dhamma, and after that you will get the Nibbana Jnana, means the knowledge about the enlightenment. So then Buddha, he Susima request from the Buddha, Bhante, please teach me how to gain that. In that case, the Buddha explained about how to gain that Dhamma Titi Jnana, mean how to be established in the Dhamma. So the Buddha talking about again the five aggregates. So it is a very subtle discussion, and Buddha is asking from this Susima, do you see any form, the form of form faculty, form aggregate? I hope that you have heard these terms. The Panchakhanda, Panchupadana Khanda means, uh, suppose if we take any object, like suppose if you take a camera, if you take a phone, we can deassemble that phone into a, segments, you know the parts we can desegment, deassemble into a part. Similarly, if you take, now you have the concept of this world, myself, others, and such kind of uh, predestined preconception you are dealing with. So if you go deeper into that, we can subdivide those concepts into five parts. So those five parts are as known as Panchakhanda, the five aggregates of five aggregates. So the first aggregate is, it is physical, that is known as the form aggregate. And the other four aggregates, they are mental. You cannot see through your eye, but you have to understand. It's about the mind, and the mind matters. So one is feeling aggregate, feelings as a aggregate, talk as an aggregate. And perception, the called sanya, it can be taken as an aggregate. And also the sankhara, mean the mental fabrications, mental proliferations, mind objects. So many translations has been given to this particular term sankhara. And finally the mind, or the consciousness, or the vijnana, can be taken as an aggregate. So here the term aggregates mean, like, uh, if you suppose if you find a hard material in the physical world, and if you can uh, if you collect all them together, you can have a, just a heap of hard things. So likewise, if you consider, if you think on all the forms, the pictures that we see, the sound that we hear, the smell that we experience through the nose, the taste that we experience through the tongue, and the physical objects that we experience through our body, though all those are comes under form. Eye, ear, nose, and the body, tongue, all those are comes under rupa. So when we collect all the forms, we can say it is form aggregate. So when we come to the mentality, so the first aggregate is known as the aggregate of feeling. And we have variety of feelings, uh, you know uh, pleasure feelings, pleasant feelings, unpleasant feeling, the neutral feeling. And if we take all the feelings together, we can say it is as feeling aggregate. Similarly, the perception, or the sanya, uh, so sanya also uh, uh, we can categorize into aggregate. Similarly, the sankara and also the vijnana, the five aggregates. Everything in this, every world, every physical thing, every mental thing can be categorized into these five. So hence that is known as five aggregates. So Buddha asking from the Susima, Susima, do you see any form which is permanent? Then at that time, Susima replied to the Buddha, no Bhante, I don't see anything which is permanent. Everything is impermanent. So the Buddha asked, if everything is impermanent, uh, are they bring you suffering or not? Then the Susima replied, it brings us suffering, but this brings us dukkha. Actually, not the not it, using the term suffering is actually not applicable, not appropriate. Why? Suppose if one experience the pleasurable feeling, happiness, comfort, at that time it gives him the pleasure, but still it comes under dukkha. So hence that we cannot say suffering. So we use the term dukkha. So dukkha is happening because of the impermanency. So every experience that whether we have experienced a pleasure and unpleasure, neutral, everything comes under, it's subject to impermanency. So then dukkha brings. So if something which brings us the which has the nature of the impermanency and also the dukkha nature, that it brings us, it cannot be taken as me, I, myself, or other entity. We cannot take as entity. So the Susima have understood this. So then Buddha asking the same question with regards to the feelings, as well as the feelings, perceptions, as well as the mental fabrications, as well as the consciousness. With regard to all the five aggregates, he was asking. Then the Susima replied, we cannot take anything as permanent. So everything brings us the suffering. So everything cannot be taken as myself, I, or belongs to me, or the we cannot take anything as me, I, or myself, or my soul. So he understood that up to some level. And Buddha further explained to him, you know, uh, Susima, you have to taken care of each and every form. There are 11 types of Form. In science, uh, scientists are talking about the space and the time. And if you talk about by doing so much of experiment, they are expecting to reach to a point uh, to find a theory which which can be applicable to everything. So if you read scientific documents like that, they discuss a theory called theory of everything. Once the Newton, they great scientist Newton, he has found about the gravitational theories. The some scientists thought to they have found theory of everything. But when the Albert Einstein's the theory of relativity comes, so that all the theories of gravitational, they were not, they were fallen down. And once the Albert Einstein found the theory of relativity, then people again thought that, okay, how some scientists have declared that we have found the theory of everything. But now in modern scientific society, now the quantum mechanics, quantum science is going on, and they were having so many doubts, still not unclear. So with the finding of the quantum science, then the theory of relativity also fallen back. But if you take in Buddhism, we can easily find the theory of everything. If you take these three marks of existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, or the impermanency, dukkha, and the non-self nature, it can be applicable to each and every theories, which is in the distant past, which is in the present, which is in the future, as well as which is here, as well as in the far away. If you take million light away planet, or a universe, or a Milky Way, these principles are equally applicable. So here we can talk as theory of everything. So the uh, Buddha said to this Susima, if you take all the forms which is in the past, which is in the right present moment, which is in the future. So he talk about the time. All the pictures in all the times has this nature, impermanent. And also Buddha talking about the space also. There he talk about the forms which belongs to you, that's called ajjata. The forms which away from you, that is called bahidda rupa. The forms which closer to you, the forms which away from you, that's why I said suppose there is a form which is located in the millions of light years away from us, but this theory is applicable even to that forms also. And the coarse forms, that mean the hard things, hard materials, the subtle things, the sukuma rupa, mean the fine refined things, like small things, tiny things. So every form which is in the physicality has this nature, impermanent, hence it is dukkha, hence it is non-self. And same theory applicable to other four aggregates also. Those are mentalities, mental aggregates. So this is the universal teaching, that's why it's said. So now Susima have understood that. uh, so so then to further make him understand, Buddha explain about the Paticcasamuppada. That means, as human beings, uh, one can claim that, venerable sir, I am a very rich, I have uh, everything for my well-being, so I have nothing to worry. One can claim that. But I can ask from him that whether you have rich or not, whether you have poor, or it doesn't matter whether you are religion, it doesn't matter your social status, your education, your knowledge, but still you have to face the aging and finally the death. So suppose you will become a god. In that god world also, you have to experience this aging and the death. And if you are in a distant planet, as I said, the millions years away, million light years away, distant planet, if you are living in that, beings also has to face this aging and death. They cannot be immortal, so they have to face. So Buddha asking this Susima, this happens because of not understanding these five aggregates. That's why when the five aggregates, people not understanding about the five aggregates, they wrongly understand these five aggregates as myself and as other beings. So that is called as the jati here. These aging and death happens due to the causes of jati. Jati means the birth. So it is the birth is not just the coming out from the womb of the mother. So that is the birth. In that birth, we don't have anything to be, understood. If you ask from a child, that child also will tell you that the birth is happening in that way. But in Buddhism, the birth is totally different. And it is just a one aspect of the birth, coming out of the womb. That is the one aspect of the birth. And here the subtle meaning is that, if you consider these five aggregates, if you regard towards these five aggregate, and if you have the conception, uh, perception about five aggregate as myself, as others, as me, then that is the birth happening. So then without having the five aggregates, instead you get the feeling of myself, then that is the birth happening. So when there is you, then you have to face the aging and the death. So the Buddha said to him that, uh, uh, the aging and the death is happening due to the cause of birth. So the birth is happening of what? The birth is happens because of the bhava. Bhavapacchaya jati mean due to the existence. So now, existence mean, last time also I discussed about the about the craving, three types of craving, uh, cravings of the sensuality, and craving towards the existence, and craving towards the non-existence. So, uh, you know, due to the craving of this very existence, we have a kind of uh, craving towards the existence. That is called bhava, because we believe that we are exist. Everything which around us, they also exist. So that in that case, we cannot. I mean, in the mind, we cannot directly see in that the craving, that tanha. It is latent, and So that's why you need to have the panya to understand that. So that existence, because of that existence, that jati is bhavapaccha jat, that birth is happening. That existence happens because of the craving, as I explained. The craving happen because of the feelings. Feelings happen because of the six sense faculties. Sense feelings happen because of the contact. Contact happens because of the six sense faculties. Sense faculty arises because of the nama rupa, or the mentality and the physicality, and the physicality and mentality arises because of the consciousness. It is it is, I'm talking about the Patisamuppada. It is very so, it is so difficult. I'm just briefly telling you, and in a future sermon we will discuss about the Patisampada completely. So today I'm just giving the surface knowledge about the Patisampada, and that consciousness happening because of the sanskar, the second step of the link, and finally uh, the links begin because of the ignorance, not knowing the true reality. So then this aging and death we experiencing because of the ignorance. The very first cause is the ignorance. So then Buddha said to Susima, if there is no if one doesn't have the ignorance, and mean ignorance, if one completely understood the four noble truth, he understands the real true nature of everything, then he don't get the avidya patya sankara, the mental proliferations not happening with him, the karma is not recollecting to him, so that he will not produce the consciousness, and mentality and physicality will not happen, and because of that the six sense faculties not will come into being. Because of the six sense faculties not come into being, there will not come the contact, eventually contact, and the feelings and the cravings and the upadana, or the grasping, or the upadana, then the existence bhava, and finally the birth is not happening. So because of the not happening of the birth, they are not experiencing the aging and the death. So that's why when that enlightened beings, when they declare their enlightenment, they say kina jati. That means they, even while living, they say we have exhausted, we have completely eradicated the birth. So that's why we have to understand. So this subtle teaching, but Sampad is so subtle. So I'm just giving you the surface to understand this. So somehow this Susima ascetic, Susima monk, he have understood, he have penetrated the meaning of the Dhamma, and he understood his mistakes, and immediately he just prostrate, he just requested, he begged the pardon from the Buddha, because uh, he entered the Buddha Sasana as a thief. His purpose was to steal the Dhamma. So it's a very dangerous thing. It's a very huge crime. So the Buddha said, very important, yet another beautiful, important Dhamma factor, because the people who perform bad activities like that, theft, and practicing unwholesome activities, uh, they label them as the bad one forever. But in Buddhism it is not the case. One can perform any kind of bad thing, but immediately he can become a pure one. He can become even enlightened being. In the when you talk about the Angulimal, he was killing thousands of humans, but still he was able to become enlightened being. Because that's why the problem is not that we are performing unwholesome things, bad activities. The problem is that we are not aware of the bad activities. That is the problem. But once we aware of our bad activities, then we can immediately become pure, by promising that we are not, hereafter we are not going to do that bad thing. So the Buddha said it is a growth in this Dhamma. It's not just a thing. If you understand your mistake, and if you beg the pardon from your mistake, from the mistake, so they, at that time, it's a growth in this Dhamma. So Buddha said that. So it's a very good lesson for us. And the Buddha said further to him, suppose there is a crime. There's a one who has done so many crimes, and as a criminal, he was caught by the king, like caught by the royal, soldiers, and he immediately produced before the king. And by considering his crimes, king had ordered to that person to be beheaded in front of the people. So at that time, the person who convicted, or the person who got that punishment, is he suffering or not? Buddha asked him from the Susima. Susima Bhikkhu said, Bhante, really he is suffering. Uh, Susima, it is not suffering. It is just a beheading of this life only. But uh, as a bhikkhu, as a monk, if you have the wrong intentions in your mind of kind things like steal, if you think to uh, steal the Dhamma, so it's a huge crime. You have to suffer, not only in this life, as well as in the future you have to suffer. Now you are so much lucky, you have understood your mistake, and you have gained the enlightenment even. So finally, the Buddha asking from him that now you have enlightened, you have become enlightened. Now could you perform these miracles? As you initially you have asked from me about the miracles. Now you perform any kind of miracles. Then he himself declared that to the Buddha, no, Bhante, I cannot perform any kind of miracles. Uh, then he himself understood that miracle is not the psychic power, is not the main cause. If you want to become enlightenment, there is a way of becoming enlightenment without having those miraculous powers. So in the Buddhism, there are two variety of enlightened beings. So this particular person, this particular sutta is mentioning about the panya vimukta bhikkhu. That means one who is having higher level of insight or the wisdom, they can become enlightened by just practicing vipassana only. They only practice vipassana only. That's what Buddha said here. And by practicing vipassana, uh, they got the liberation, they got the enlightenment through only the vipassana. So there are five types of vipassana. The first one is by practicing in that way vipassana, they will get the fourth jhana, up to fourth jhana. The second one is get only third jhana. The third one is get only the second jhana. The fourth one is get reaching only the first jhana. And there's one special one called sukha vipassana. Sukha means dry, vipassana means vipassana, the insight. He's having dry insight. That person very hardly get into a samadhi. He's getting very samadhi. He get the samadhi only the time when he experience the nibbana as a stream enterer, or the sakadagami one, or the anagami one, or the enlightened one. Only that time he experiences the samadhi. At that time he immediately loses his samadhi. So that is called sukha vipassana, means dry vipassana. So there, likewise, there are five types of, I mean, the enlightened beings, that is known as the enlightened because of the wisdom. So the other type of enlightened beings known as ubato bhaga vimukta. Ubato mean their liberations has two sides. The first one is Cheto Vimukti. The second one is known as Panya Vimukti. First, they do practice samatha. Hardly they practice samatha, and they experience the first, second, third, and fourth jhana. They can convert that jhana into the uh, uh, you know uh, uh, they, they can do vipassana on jhana. Then they become enlightened, and also they can go beyond the jhana without practicing vipassana. They practice the form jhanas as well as the formless jhana. Then there are some beings beyond that, they get the psychic powers even, and they going up to the psychic powers, up to the samadhi, and they are get the liberation of the that is called cheto mukti, mean they are get the liberation from the mind. And after the final stage, they do vipassana, and they become uh, they penetrate the meaning of the Dhamma through the wisdom completely. Then they have the liberation from two sides, from the mind as well as from the wisdom. So those are known as ubato bhaga. Their liberation is two sides. In that way, there are basically two ways of practicing. To know about these things will benefit us, because while we practicing the Dhamma, we come to the path. We have to understand our capabilities, our inner abilities. If you feel that you have wisdom, you can understand, you can penetrate the meaning of this dhamma, then uh, you can use that wisdom as a weapon, as a as a tool to deal with your defilements, deal with your mental, negative unwholesome activities. And if you have much samadhi, you can use that samadhi to penetrate the meaning of the Dhamma. So likewise, you have to understand your inner probabilities properly. That's what basically this sutta is used. So with that, we have come to the end of this sermon, and I have commented that if you have any questions, you can ask. Now, there is a question. Uh, Spiritual attainments or psychic powers can cause the person to be egoistic or stray from the true Dhamma practice. Attachment or greed for psychic powers is a hindrance to enlightenment. Do you agree? Uh, Completely agree, because it is happening that way. Because people have gone astray because of these psychic powers, and there are so many beautiful stories. I would like to tell one thing, one story like that. Uh, you know, uh, one time, our great teacher Samma Sambuddha and group of other bhikkhus, they were traveling from one town to another town, and in between there was a river, huge river. So they were standing on the bank of the river, and there is a raft. They are in the river for crossing the river. So when the Buddhas and the Sangha were there was another spiritual ascetic. He had already gained this psychic power of flying, and before the Buddha, even before the Buddha, this particular ascetic, um, get into jhanas, and he began to flying over the river, and he just crossed the river. At that time, monks who were with the Buddha also thinking that now our great teacher, he is having more psychic powers, he can do more miracles than this particular person, and they thought Buddha also going to perform such miracles. But instead of performing miracles, the Buddha asked from the monks, uh, "Do you know, vendors? Do you know, monks, the cost of crossing this river?" So at that time, the person who handled the raft, he he charged only half a penny to cross the river. So the Buddha said, the one who has performed that miracle, the one who flown away from this place to the other side of the river, his capability is just worth of half of a penny. Just imagine that. I mean, because that person has, they have, astray, gone astray, and very so much of egoist of the psychic power, and that's what happens. The people who practice only psychic power. Now it has happened to so many people. You can find this community of even the sangha. That kind of ascetics can be found. So it is a very huge hindrance. As a lay Buddhist, would I be allowed to tell about my psychic abilities? Uh, Actually, for the lay people, there are no any restrictions. I mean, there are no any precepts. But for as monks, we are not allowed to, express, declare, our proclaim our psychic powers, or the any kind of ability. Even suppose if I am a Sotapan one, I am not allowed to tell it to others, because though it is not allowed, it is not, you don't, as lay people, you may have not these limitations like precepts and things. You can tell to someone, but no use of telling. Suppose if you tell your psychic powers to others, I mean, if the person who hear you, if he's a wise one, he knows about Dhamma, it doesn't matter. But suppose if one is not having knowledge, and he like uh, he began to, I mean, be deceived, uh, wrongly understand about this jhana, these things. So it is better not to express uh, our psychic power. So our duty as monks, even in my country now, there's a trending going on. People have some kind of tendency towards coming to the Dhamma, and they like to gain they, they like to have the association of the one who have gained the psychic powers as well as the enlightened one, Sodapan one, and they say we can understand the Dhamma when only if the enlightened beings preach to Dhamma, only you can understand Dhamma. They say that. So they are finding the enlightened beings in the country. So it's a wrong idea. As an enlightened being, as even the Buddha, the true enlightened beings, their duty is to show them the Dhamma. So when we go through the Dhamma, when we act according to the Dhamma, then we'll get the chance of getting those miracles, psychic powers, and also the uh, those Magapal. So instead of telling your psychic powers to them, it is better to uh, guide them, make the pavement for them to gain those powers. As I said, when one performing this, perform the practice according to Dhamma, they can gain those psychic powers. So they at that time they are not, the one who's uh, gain those psychic powers really. They are not showing it to others because useless of showing the psychic powers to others. That is the thing. So it's better not to tell to others, but instead you can tell the Dhamma to about the, how we have to do the vipassana on these gainings without become conceit, without having conceit, pride about your achievements. How to do vipassana on them. You have to tell them. So hope I have answered the question. And Bhante, could you please elaborate a little on the theory of everything you had mentioned? Uh, Recently, I read some scientific document, and also I'm a little bit interested towards science field, scientific learnings, and there I have found that term, and uh, they were searching this theory of everything. And as scientists, they like to have kind of theory like that. So then, when as a Buddhist monk, when I was thinking about this theory of these teachings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, uh, I noticed that it is the theory of everything. Uh, uh, like suppose if you take the nature of the impermanence, uh, it can be applicable to, as I said, it is applicable without the limitations of the space, without the limitations of the time. It's applicable for everywhere. And but you know that the other teachings, suppose uh, as I said, in the 1960s, in the 1600 millennia, they were found, they were highly talking about the gravitational theories. But when it comes to the 1900 1900 century, the millennia, the centuries, they, those theories were gone down. So it is changed now. At modern physicists, modern scientists, they were talking about the quantum mechanics. But once something in the future we will bring up about when they found new theories, then these quantum theories also will, just fallen down. Those theories will come up. But in Buddhism, these theories like this impermanence, dukkha, and the non-self nature, it is applicable even the past, even the future, even the every theory. That principles are, equally applicable. So that's what I mentioned the theory of everything here. Uh, so with that, we have reached to the end of the sutta. Exactly, it is 59 minutes. So I am really about to share the merits that we have gained through this Dhamma sermon. Sabbadhanam Dhammadanam Jinati. That means that, before all the givings, all the amongst all the types of offerings, the offerings of the Dhamma is the most highest Dhamma offering. So we have done that. Not only myself, you know, as there's another question. I will answer that question too. Uh, as we introspect on your mind, is it true that we understand more about the mind of human beings? Like we get to know about others by the mind and how alike we actually are. Uh, like we get to know about others by the mind and how alike we actually are. It is a Buddhist idea. So yeah, it is kind of like that, but we have to be very careful on that. So the the group of people uh, there is that they are thinking that everything is the mind. You know, they taken the first stanza of the Dhammapada and they said Mano Bubbang Dhamma Dhamma Mano Settha Manomaya means you know everything is Manopubbangama. The predecessor is the mind of everything. Manosetta, mind is the greatest. Manomaya, everything made out of the mind. So they just taken that stanza in the wrong way and they began to say that everything created by the mind. So suppose if you take the form aggregate, the Buddha clearly said that the form has the internal forms as well as the external forms. The forms actually we cannot deny. The external forms actually it's there, and we cannot completely deny that. If one thinks that everything is the mind, it's a kind of wrong view. In Pali, it is known as Vijnana Vada. That means they consider everything is the mind. So that is a wrong understanding. So we cannot say the physicality is not exist. We cannot say that. We cannot say that claim because it is there. That's why uh, we can suppose the form aggregate. Suppose when we see an object through our eye, we see a form. Then how that seeing is happening? Actually, that object is there. That's why we begin to see that. And we cannot say that it is not existing. The external form is not existing. We cannot say that. Also, we cannot say that it is existing. So if we say that uh, it is not existing, that is called Uchcheda Ditti. That means the nihilism side. And if we say that no, it is existing, then we come to the eternistic extreme. Similarly, if one say the mind is everything, then again he come to the the extreme of eternalism. And if we say that there is no mind, then again he fall into the extreme of the nihilism. So we have to be very careful. The Buddha is not telling that everything is the mind, that everything is the physical. Nothing like that. Every object arise due to the causes and conditions, and when that causes and conditions disappears, everything has the nature of the fallen back. Every object, when you introspect your mind, the mind is also the same. It is having the nature of the appearing and disappearing. If you consider external objects, uh, they also just appearing and disappearing. It is like suppose uh, the very light that we are experiencing right now. uh, in my country, in Sri Lanka, normally the 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 frequency of the light, the current is 50 hertz. That means uh, it has the arising and disappearing. The vibrations happen within a second, 50 times arising and disappearing. Arising and disappearing happen within a just 1 second. But we cannot observe those appearing and disappearing. We see only a completely existing light. That is because it is very fastly and rapidly happen. So we cannot see through our physical light. But actually, The actuality is that the vibrations happening like that. So if one says there is no light, then he is wrong. Another one say no, the light is existing. He also wrong. We cannot say either it is existing. We cannot say either it is not existing. We cannot jump into those both extremes. It is there, light is there because the certain conditions are there. But light is disappearing when the conditions go away. If you if you understand that simile, apply that principle into the physicalities, all the physical objects, all the mental objects. If you introspect the mind, you get the mind. This appearing and disappearing nature is available in the mind, as well as if you extrospect. That means if you think about the external, in the external also the same principles going on. So without falling down into the extremes of the eternalism or the nihilism, you can clearly penetrate the meaning of that, the impermanence nature. Means that it is brings us the suffering, dukkha. Because of that, nothing inside, nothing in the mind, nothing in the external cannot be taken as entity, as a being, or as a thing. It is just a uh, you know falling up and falling down, arising and disappearing. It is like supposed to understand, make you more understand about that. It's a very Buddha has given this simile in one of the sutta. Uh, we daily we used to to go before a mirror, and by seeing our image through the mirror, we can do our day-to activity. If there's any uh, you know marks on my face, I can just remove that by seeing the mirror. But inside the mirror, uh, you know uh, we will never have the wrong perception that there is a being inside the mirror, because uh, we the image of the mirror appears just because we uh, we go before the mirror. At that time the mirror appears, and when we go away from the mirror, that image is totally vanished. So hence that we know the true nature of the mirror. That means it is appearing and disappearing. So we don't think it is as a person, it is as a thing, it is as an object to be touched. It is just a mirror. The nature of mirror is just appearing and disappearing. So similar thing happens all the five aggregates if you carefully consider. So the concept of myself, me, and others, this everything happen because we still haven't realized this nature of this appearing and disappearing. So subtle thing. That's why we need to practice Dhamma. We have to first understand the Dhamma, Kubbhi Dhamma Jnana, and then with that understanding, only we have to practice Bhavana. When you completely, when uh, you know, gradually progress in the path of the Dhamma, when your mind is developed, then you'll begin to understand this nature of the mind and also the physicalities as well as the mentalities. That also my question of Dhamma, like the forms of reality, but I don't blame you to not to have time to answer it. Okay. Uh, Thank you. I hope that I have given answer, and if you have not understood that, you can ask questions at any time. So uh, with that, we have come to the end of this Dhamma sermon. As I explained, uh, we have gained lots of merits, and by preaching Dhamma, I have gained so many merits. As I explained to you, you also have partaken by listening Dhamma. You also have contributed to this Dhamma Dana, and you also have gained so many merits out of. We all together have done so many merits. So let's just share these merits to all the sentient beings, all the divine beings, all the Brahma world, all the beings. May they share these merits, and may they give us the protection. Now the world is, like burning, the greenhouse gas effect, wars going on. In Sri Lanka, it's a huge drought is going on. People are suffering. So may they be supportive to those innocent sentient beings throughout the globe and throughout the universe. May they support them with this merit, and may they be happy, be well. And all the divine beings, all the sentient beings may find the supreme bliss of Nibbana with these merits. And also, uh, I would like to remind the organizers of the Buddhist. Empty Cloud Monastery, Bhante Sudasso, Ayasoma, and other monks, other other Bhantes, other venerables, because of this platform, this Dhamma sharing towards throughout the globe. So may they have these merits. As well as I would like to remind my teachers. I would like to mention their names, especially Man Kadol Vyasana my teacher, and Man Kadol Nandaratana Thero, as well as my immediate teacher, Venerable Kotmali Kumar Kasapatero. You already aware of him because he had come to visited to the Monastery and done some few sermons. I would like to remind him. So I would like to share the merits to them also. And the one who have deceased, who have passed away, maybe might be maybe our father, mother, or any kind of relative, those who have passed away, if they expect to gain merits, may they receive these merits, and all of them by having these merits and by having the blessings of the infinite noble super gems, may they be well, be happy in this life as well as their future lives, and finally, immediately, as soon as possible, uh, may they get the chance of get the full complete liberation, and may they be able to getting out of this horrific samsara. And finally, uh, for every sentient beings, I would like to wish them the blessings of the triple gems as well as the well-being of them with these merits and also the triple gem blessings. May their present lives become happy and comfortable, and future lives also become happy and comfortable. And finally, all sentient beings be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. So, with that, I am chanting the blessings. So, please receive the blessings by worshipping. अभिवादन शीलिस्य नित्यं वर्धापचारिणो चत्तारो धम्मा वर्धन्ति आयुवन्नो सुखं बलम् आयुरारोग्य संपत्ति सग्ग संपत्ति मेव च अथो निब्बान संपत्ति इमिनाते समिध्यतु sadhu sadhu sadhu. Everyone sarnai to everyone.